Welcome to our new adventure. We are here in Walnut Canyon, east of Flagstaff in Arizona. Beautiful area, and we're here in the fall, enjoying the fall colors.
We're excited to see the ruins here of the Native Americans that date back to 1100, about 1200. But they know that the area has been inhabited for a long time. There's a lot of artifacts that have been found here, and we're excited for this adventure. Come and join us. This area right here is called the Island, and this is where most of the Indian artifacts or the Native American artifacts that we're going to look at are at. However, all through these canyons and up in the cliffs are storage and places that the Native Americans have made shelters or food caches, and we're going to take a look at those today. So we said there was about 300 rooms just right in this area, and there's about 75 that are in the island here. But there's a map that shows there's about, through this whole area and canyon, that there's about 300 dwellings, and so the community was quite large. Yeah, well, we found some snakeskin. We're going to put it right up here so everybody else can enjoy that. A remnant of a wall right back here, and I think there's lots more back along here too. So this trail has been paved, and there's handrails because some of the steep cliffs, but by paving it, actually protect it from more wear, the amount of foot traffic that comes through here. And in 1915 is when they made this a national park to preserve it, because they were having people coming in here since the 1800s and just looting. And this is the first of many of the cliff dwellers. Now this extends back through the canyon, and this right here is part of the island, the central part around Walnut Creek. And we were reading that these rooms and these houses, they weren't just bare rock back then. They believe they found sections that they were stuccoed, and they were actually very well finished with no cracks. They would be perfectly sealed, and they had very low doors, and that would allow to keep the heat inside, so a small fire in the winter could warm up those rocks. And with those thick walls, the rocks would just retain the heat, and they wouldn't need to heat it too much. But I imagine they probably use these mostly for sleeping in the winter or cold months, but I imagine it keeps nice and cool in the winter time. So they do allow you to go into a few of these, and these are some of them. They're open, and you can just kind of walk in to see. Now, I'm 6'3", and I'm standing up here and don't have to bend over, which is kind of amazing. You can see the remnants of, probably they had their fire right here. They may have had a cooking area. The smoke would just come across the top here, probably out through a vent across the top. Pretty sure there was probably cliff houses back in this area too that just aren't here anymore. And there's I wouldn't be surprised if the Native Americans had chipped. Look, there's evidence that it probably was chipping to get it back further to make a bigger area for their housing. And yeah, and there's evidence of fires.
There's a great visitor center here, and they have so much information about this area and the people that lived here. They have a neat film you can watch that goes into detail how their lives would have been lived and maybe some of the reasons why they left. I think that probably it was due to drought and the lack of water. But when they were here, they hunted. They also were pretty good farmers. Up on the rim, they farmed beans and corn and squash. They used a lot of these rooms for storage, which makes sense. But it's just so great to be able to learn about how these ancient people lived and what they did to survive.
So I think this is the largest area that's around the island. They show some of what it might have looked like here. Small doors. They could cover them with animal skin and keep the heat in. And this shows here, oh, okay, how they would have the fire. Smoke could come up around the back and vent out of a hole above the door. You can see that right up there. And these ones, it does not appear that you're allowed to go into them. They're probably the best preserved. Along here. Oh, this is cool. So this is the vent for the smoke. And you can see the darker along here. I don't know if the light's adjusting in there or not, but it's really cool in here. Cold, yeah. The rocks are cold and you feel them too. This is so cool. Can you feel the temperature difference?
Yeah.
It's so,
yeah.
We step in here and it's just a cool, easy feeling. And you can see out here. Can you imagine that view? You walk out there and just see these trees.
Like to be a kid and live here.
Oh, this is your playground. You walk out here. Don't fly off the cliff. Don't play on the cliff tonight. We're now on the kind of the southeast side, coming around to the east side. Just trying to imagine what it would be like without this well-groomed trail. I mean, that could be pretty precarious. Watch out for the cactus. And these pokey plants that are everywhere. But I wonder what it looked like at 1200 CE. You know, I wonder what the vegetation was like. They were probably coming into drought, is my guess. We learned from the ranger up there that this is not really a river, it's a stream, and it only occasionally runs. through the winter and from the snow melt from the large mountains that are to the west of us over by Flagstaff. And so in the summer, they would need to preserve water in large, they had cisterns and rocks, but they also used some large pottery and to store water in. And they were saying that down in the bottom, in the shaded areas, would be some, in the rocks, could be some pools of water that would last. However, during the really hot season, they would just probably have to go without or go somewhere else to get water. It's probably what led to the difficulties here. When we were here in 2010, I remember looking on the ground in the dirt in just some of these areas and seeing pot shards. Of course, we left them there, but they were just little pieces, but they were obvious pot shards. And I'm sure this valley and floor is just littered with them too.
And one of the cool things about the visitor center is that they have display cases that just have artifacts that have been found over the last 110 years since it was made a national monument. And they've dated these artifacts. A lot of them go back thousands and thousands of years. So if you can imagine, this area has been used as a dwelling place for native peoples for a very long time. It's really cool.
Well, we're nearing the end of the loop, but if you can imagine just continuing along this path right here, there's all those other houses along there, that ledge.
This canyon is about 20 miles long, and so if you can imagine all the people who've seen it over thousands of years, it's pretty impressive. Well, the walk down was a lot easier. We can do it.
No problem. I'm just excited for lunch.
This is the place to be. In the shade with the breeze. Thanks so much for coming on this adventure with us. We got to see the amazing beauty and wonderful history of Walnut Canyon.
If you're still watching, please consider liking and subscribing, and check out our other videos on our channel. As always, just get out there, discover and explore, and thanks for watching. There's no salt on this.